my money mindset was so messed up. Nowadays, my life represents the physical manifestation of these dreams that I literally had years ago.
Let's just sit on skyscrapers, watching for the ones who fall down first. Everything you want in 24 hours, but nothing you need. Cracks in the pavement, scorpions, abandoned retail emporiums, Amazon Prime, the new world power. As long as it's cheap, we don't get no sleep, no sleep at all. We're nocturnal in this concrete jungle.
How is it going, friends? It's Alyse here, and today I just want to sit down and share a update on what my current perspective is on minimalism. Am I still a minimalist? Where am I at with all of that? I'm also gonna share a home tour video with you, which I'm so excited about, like all combined in this one video. So I'm gonna try and keep this short and simple. I just feel like this video is a bit overdue. Chances are when you first stumbled upon my YouTube channel, I was like hardcore into this extreme version of minimalism. So just some background info for if you don't know how I got into minimalism. I started with minimalism, gosh, I don't even know, maybe like 5 years ago is when I first heard about it. I was in college at the time. There were a few things that really excited me and interested me about minimalism. One of which was that it felt very like extreme from where I currently was with my consumption of relationships and physical belongings, and basically how I was spending my time, energy, and financial energy. I guess the way that I see this whole minimalist thing is that there's kind of this spectrum of consumption of all things. So I'm not just talking about material belongings, I'm talking about like every form of energy that we bring into our lives. Over here is like extreme minimalism, like this competition and like thrill of getting rid of as many physical belongings as possible and really just like clearing everything out to the bare necessities. And then over here on the spectrum is basically not being conscious of what we're consuming at all. Like literally just buying all the things in the moment, we want it, we don't think about the long term, kind of like carelessly consuming. And same thing with bringing relationships into our lives and how we're spending our time and energy and what we're experiencing, just kind of being careless with it all. And then yeah, over there is being like very deliberate and conscious about continuing to get rid of. So there's this spectrum, right? And so when I was in college, I was so like excited about that end of the spectrum. One, because it was thrilling. I tend to like be a more extreme person, although I have changed and evolved past that now. I was definitely like so excited about the challenge of just getting rid of belongings. Another thing that piqued my interest about minimalism back then was that I was trying to conserve my energy, my monetary resources, because I was trying to save up to buy a one-way ticket to move to Hawaii and have a little bit of cushion room once I moved there financially. That kind of just went hand in hand, like the thrill of getting rid of things and also like I kind of need money right now. So those were like the two things in my mind back when I started. So I got rid of almost everything. I got rid of like all of my furniture in my apartment and sold so many of my clothes and kitchen things and a lot. And I have to say, it definitely allowed me to feel more mentally clear, not having all of these physical things that like I wasn't even using, I wasn't even wearing in my life. Was I ever intending to be a hardcore extreme minimalist for the rest of my life? I don't think that I ever had a moment where I was like, this is the way that I'm gonna live forever. It was just kind of an in the moment thing that I was experiencing, I was excited about. The concept of extreme minimalism was adding value to my life at that point in time, like I said, because it was exciting. I feel like I'm repeating myself, but it was exciting and I was like conserving those resources. But what I learned was some things that we want and are excited about and are meaningful to us at this point in time are not necessarily things that we're going to stick with for the rest of our lives. What I started to notice with the extreme minimalist way of living was that it wasn't really sustainable. It wasn't really a peaceful way of living, and it actually brought up a lot of stress for myself and so many other people that I witnessed and observed kind of living this extreme lifestyle in Hawaii. What I noticed was that myself in this position and others in this position of being like an extreme minimalist with very little belongings had to rely on other people who did have these belongings, who did have a car, who did have a blender, who did have a washing machine, like all of these things that as an extreme minimalist we're like, I don't need that, like I can get by without it. But what I noticed was there was this like codependency taking place. It felt a bit stressful, to be quite honest. Once I got like a few years into living that way, I didn't like the feeling of like having to rely on other people and other, I guess, buildings and facilities for so many little things. And I noticed that my life actually wasn't necessarily more peaceful with these few amount of objects, personal belongings, but it was actually kind of more complex and stressful. So it was at this time that I started to have this realization and observation of like what was taking place with this whole like needy vibe of the extreme minimalist. And it's not this way for everyone. Not everybody feels stressed in those situations, but I wanted to be able to provide for myself in those certain ways. And there were a lot of things that I got rid of during the extreme minimalist phase that I wanted to use later on down the road. Whether it was like one piece of clothing that I realized like, damn, I really like that piece of clothing, or if it was a kitchen device like a blender or a spiralizer or like, I don't know, any little things, I started to take note that like, oh, I could use that right now, but I sold that and I got rid of that 6 months ago. And now I'm in this place where I'm like, I kind of need to buy another one if I want to use that device. So I started to realize like, is it really minimalist if I'm selling and then buying the same thing later on when I realize I actually want that in my life? So it was at that point that I started to realize like I actually feel okay and comfortable and have a desire to bring in a few material belongings that I had released. Also, it was like around the same time that I read this book called You Are a Badass. I think I've shared this story in multiple videos before, but if you haven't seen any of that, I just had this big epiphany and realization in reading this book that my money mindset was so messed up. And I'm not going to dive into that too much in this video, but I will link down in the video description my video called My Views on Money. In that video, I'm pretty sure I tell the whole story. So definitely watch that if you have not watched it before. Okay, so where do I stand now with minimalism? I'm definitely not on the extreme minimalist side of the spectrum where I'm like diving into this challenge constantly of like, what else can I get rid of? But I'm also not on the other side of the spectrum where I'm just like mindlessly consuming, mindlessly buying, mindlessly welcoming relationships and physical belongings into my life. I'm very, very intentional and deliberate about the things that I am bringing into my life, the things that I'm spending my time, energy on, and my money energy on. And so I'd say I'm somewhere in the middle of the spectrum, probably leaning towards the minimalist, more intentional way of being side, but I'm definitely not an extreme minimalist anymore. So I have received quite a few comments over the last few months of individuals kind of confused on like where I'm at with minimalism now and saying that they feel like my values have just completely changed. To anyone who feels that way, I understand, because I feel like this video update was long overdue on like where I currently stand with minimalism and my purchasing habits and all of that. But I have to say, like, I was sharing videos way back when I first got on YouTube about goal setting, about manifestation, about self-growth, and I'll put some of them up on the screen here just so you can see like this was always part of what I was sharing. I think that maybe there is a misconception or a misunderstanding or a belief that like my videos were all about less, 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 and now they're about more and manifestation and abundance. That's not necessarily the case. I, like years ago, had these big, massive dreams, and I was in the like working stage of bringing them into fruition. And I feel like nowadays my life represents the physical manifestation of these dreams that I literally had years ago, that anyone who's been tuning into my channel for a while, literally watching every single video, like you guys have seen all of this unravel. And this video is probably not for you because you understand all of this, but this video is for anyone who hasn't really been tuning into the whole entire journey over the past few years, and you kind of look at my old videos and you're like, okay, you're living in a van, you're living in a fruit farm, you have 30 belongings or whatever, and like now this lifestyle that you have is so different. Like what happened in between? And there's a lot that happened in between. There was a lot of hard work that happened in between. There was a lot of self-growth and self-care and personal development and so many things that I've done over the years that have allowed me to literally manifest and cultivate my dreams that I had years ago into reality, and to now be experiencing this today. And so I think in the very, very beginning, I did have this dream of living with less. I wanted to move to Hawaii. I wanted to say goodbye to all of my material belongings. I wanted to live on a fruit farm. I wanted to live in a van. And I achieved that. I did that. And I lived in that way of living for a period of time. I want to share a little visual with you. I will try to put something on the screen to kind of illustrate this, but the way that I see life and goal setting and living and manifestation and everything is like, basically we have working periods and then we have these plateaus where we're kind of like immersing ourselves and like living in all of the goodness that we just worked for. So for example, when I had those dreams of living with less, I was like working, trying to make this happen, taking all the steps, and then I was doing it, and then I was living it, and I was like in this little like plateau of experiencing and just like fully vibing with like everything that I had just worked for and cultivated. And then, naturally, wanting to grow, wanting to experience new things, I started working again. I started creating new dreams for myself of wanting to live in a certain type of house overlooking the ocean, wanting to have more financial abundance so I didn't have to keep saying no to opportunities, and so that I could say yes to experiencing things and adventures with my friends, to be able to give back to others financially and sponsor people to go to festivals and be a part of my retreats. And like, I was in this phase of like, I want more financial abundance because this, and this. And so I went back into this working phase, manifesting, doing the things to like get there. And then there's this period of like living, and everything came into fruition. Now I have new goals and I'm like going back into this working phase, and then that's like the way that I see this as like a game. So yeah, that's my little like visual example of going through those working and effort phases and then experiencing the plateau where we're like soaking it all up and like living it. That cycle repeats over and over again if we are growth focused individuals and if that's what we want to be doing with our lives. I think it's a pretty beautiful, epic cycle, and it's so important to not like reach a goal and like not experience it and then like keep going, because it's important to be content with where we're at now while still building and putting in the effort to work towards our dreams and our goals. I hope that all of that makes sense. Anyone who wonders why I like jump ship all the time or like change what I'm doing so frequently, like I hope that that visual shares a clear perspective of like the way that I see it and the way that I have been living life for the past few years. So I think that that kind of summarizes what I want to share surrounding minimalism and my new perspective, and just kind of like filling in the gap between my older videos and my newer videos. Are you ready for the full home tour? I am so excited to share this with you. I live in San Diego, California now, and I moved here about 5-ish weeks ago. And this house, I cannot even understand how this came into my life, but it was very synchronistic. I was on a trip in Hawaii with some friends. A few of them have lived in San Diego before, and they shared with me the specific town in San Diego, and they're like, you would love this town. Like, this town would just be perfect for you. At this time when they were sharing this with me, I thought that I was still gonna move back to Hawaii, but I was also experiencing pretty insane allergies there. I don't know, my heart kind of dropped and I was like, damn, I really want to move back to Hawaii. But I just started looking at homes in this area. This house was the second one that I saw, and it was partially furnished, almost all furnished actually. I just brought my own decorations here, but this house, like, I've gotten so many messages about how did I find this house with this blue tile wall, and like all of the furnishings are just so my vibe in like a way that I would decorate it anyway if it was unfurnished. And so it's kind of crazy the way that it came into my life, but it's also like in the exact location that I've been dreaming up, and like has like all of the expectations and things that I've wanted in a house over the past few years. This has it. So this is my little tiny dining area and my kitchen, and these chairs, literally like this, all of this came in the house, which is so crazy. And then this is my little living room area. And so yeah, I brought this rug and the pillows and this poof, but all of the furniture was here. Yeah, I have my citrine crystal and a little salt lamp. This chair is literally so comfortable. If I want to just like relax and do nothing, that is where I go. This is kind of a poof that Silo uses as his bed. This is one of the cutest, my most favorite things like in this house is there's this little furnace, and you literally just like flip it on. It's electric, I suppose, and then it turns on and has like little flames. Silo's toys, and yeah, this is my kitchen. So I brought the plants with me. And then I have my little like mug collection and some mason jars. Then I have my little water heater, good vibes only. I've had this for so long. My friend from high school painted it for me. Some quartz and succulents. And then I literally have like one of each plates and bowls. And then this is kind of cute. This was just like up when I got here, so I wrote a little quote on it. As we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. This is my bathroom. So yeah, there's not much going on in here. Just the basics. Oh my gosh. Guys, this is so good. My friends Megan and Evan created this face serum. It literally makes your blemishes go away so fast. It's very, very magical. So that is why it deserves to be on the top of the counter with a very select few other items. And then I have my Mabel toothbrush with the little raw alignment Alyse Parker symbol. And I love that it stands up on its own. And then my watch and some little stones. And I don't really have too much going on in here. I have these reusable like makeup pads for when I wear mascara, hairbrush, toothbrush. I love rose water. This deodorant is gold, so it's not literally gold. It's really good though. I have a moisturizer, a couple other lingering things like sunscreen and tattoo stuff. And then there's nothing in those, there's nothing in there. Here I have some random bathroom things. Cotton tampons, detangler, coconut oil, some essential oils, Dr. Bronner's soap, and yeah, literally nothing else. Well, my friend Rachel painted me this. It's so freaking cool. Lint roller, salt, you know, the essentials. So yeah, this is my bathroom. And here is my bedroom. I apologize to anyone who shares this feeling with me about how the bed is not centered in front of the windows, but it's literally the only way that it works in here. So yeah, I have my red light machine, my little dirty laundry bin, these nightstands on like the bed and everything came with the place. Another little nightstand. I have my alarm clock so I don't need to sleep with my phone, my journal, and my special little nightstand with all the goodies. So this is my bedroom. No, son. No, son! How are you doing today? How are you doing? You're doing wonderful? You want to say hi? You're a good boy. You're an angel. Okay, so now I'll show you real quick my closet. These are my clothes. And then over here is the only room that's not entirely complete. This is going to be my tiny little office. It's like a really small room. So I'm waiting for the landlord to take this little day bed out of here so I can put that desk along this wall, and then I'm gonna get a full-length mirror that I'll probably put. So I think I'm also gonna get like a carpet in here. This is just stuff I'm about to get rid of. There's not really anything in here, just a few like hanging shirts, and that is pretty much it. Right now, Sin?